Okay, let's unpack this. The federal government just launched what they're calling the Genesis mission.
And the comparisons are already flying. People are calling it a new Manhattan Project for AI.
It's got that level of ambition, for sure. The goal is to literally double American scientific output in a decade. But, the really wild part.
The money.
The money, or the lack of it. They've kicked off a $100 billion effort without asking Congress for a single new dollar.
Which is just, it's brilliant political engineering. And that's really what this deep dive is about. We're looking at the executive order itself.
The blueprint for the whole mission.
Exactly. Because it tells you exactly how the administration plans to win the global tech race. And they're doing it by leveraging what we already have and a massive amount of private capital.
The scale is just...
Yeah.
It's immense. The language in the EO, they call it a historic national effort, comparable in urgency and ambition to the Manhattan Project.
They're not pulling any punches.
Not at all. And the goal isn't small. We're talking about a radical acceleration of, well, everything. Scientific discovery, national security, securing energy dominance.
And that number, doubling the productivity of American science and engineering in 10 years, that's an astronomical target.
So how do you even begin to do that? Is this just, a mission statement? Or is there a real plan?
Oh, there is a concrete industrial plan, and it's being led by the Department of Energy, the DOE.
Okay.
The cornerstone of the entire operation is something called the American Science and Security Platform.
And let me guess, this isn't just another government website or software project?
No, not even close. It's designed to be what they call a closed-loop discovery engine.
A closed-loop discovery engine. What does that mean for, the actual scientists on the ground?
It means a total shift in how research is done. They're moving away from what you could call an artisanal approach to science.
You mean like slow, manual, one-off experiments?
Exactly. Do a high-throughput industrialized process. And they're not building this engine from scratch. They're mobilizing the colossal infrastructure the government already owns.
Starting with the DOE's 17 national laboratories.
17 labs. All that expertise, all that existing hardware.
But getting 17 different labs, which are often in their own silos, to work together, that sounds like a nightmare.
It would be, but the computational foundation is already there. The mission is built on what they call the Exascale Arsenal.
Right. So this is where the supercomputers come in.
This is the big iron. We're talking about integrating the 3 fastest supercomputers in the world: Frontier, Aurora, and El Capitan.
Wow.
When you combine them, you get over 4 exaflop-PS of power. That's 4 quintillion calculations per second. It's a number that's hard to even wrap your head around.
And with that kind of power, you can tackle problems that were just impossible a few years ago.
Completely impossible. And they're directing that power at very specific, very physical bottlenecks in the economy.
So this isn't just abstract research.
No. The EO pinpoints these high-impact domains: nuclear fission and fusion energy, biotechnology, critical materials, semiconductors.
The building blocks of, well, modern power, geopolitical power.
Absolutely. And the whole scientific workflow is being redesigned to attack these problems with speed. AI agents are going to take over the whole front end of the research process.
So like generating the idea.
Yeah, hypothesis generation, yeah. Running incredibly complex simulations, and then, and this is the key part, directing autonomous experimentation.
Autonomous experimentation?
Yeah.
So we're talking about robots in labs, those self-driving labs you read about in the sources.
Exactly. But think about what that really means. It's not just a robot arm mixing chemicals based on human instructions. It's the AI designing the experiment itself. The robots carry it out, manipulate the materials, and the data from that experiment is fed back to the AI instantly.
It closes the loop.
It closes the loop. It removes the human delay from the process, the time it takes to analyze, rethink, and set up the next experiment.
And that's how you get to that goal of doubling productivity. It's science running at the speed of software.
That's the idea.
Okay, that sounds like something from a movie. And the cost must be astronomical. Which brings us back to the most fascinating part of this whole thing. The political strategy. Ambition without appropriation.
This is where it just gets so interesting. They keep using these big historical comparisons, Manhattan, Apollo, but there's one massive difference.
The funding.
The funding. The executive order says very clearly the mission is subject to available appropriations. It commits 0 new money.
That's just wild. I mean, when Apollo started, NASA's budget went up, what, tenfold, almost overnight?
Right. And Genesis is supposed to be a $100 billion endeavor, all absorbed by the existing budget. How do you possibly square that circle?
So how do you?
You lean on the private sector to a degree that we have, I think, never seen before. The administration basically saw Congress was gridlocked, but the race against our competitors wasn't slowing down.
So they had to find another way.
They found another way. They realized the most valuable asset the government controls isn't just labs, it's decades of proprietary scientific data.
So the government is trading access to its scientific crown jewels in exchange for private sector compute power.
That is the deal. And it is an incredible political maneuver. The sources show that $100 billion figure is mostly vast in-kind contributions.
Like what?
Well, AWS alone is estimated to have committed $50 billion worth of cloud compute services to the mission. $50 billion.
Wow, so the Genesis mission just became the single largest customer for U.S. AI compute.
By far. And it achieved that massive scale without a direct tax increase for the infrastructure.
Okay, so why would a company like Amazon Web Services or NVIDIA or AMD, why would they commit tens of billions in resources without a traditional government contract? What's the ROI for them?
The return for them is huge, and it's immediate. First, they get priceless, early access to those federal data sets that only the DOE has.
Data you can't get anywhere else.
Nowhere. Data that is absolutely critical for training their next-generation AI models in these really specialized, high-value fields like, quantum materials or fusion physics.
That's it.
Second, they are embedding themselves as the core technology providers for the future of American science. They are literally building their own physical facilities inside the national laboratories.
So they become part of that closed-loop engine.
They become indispensable to it.
Yeah.
So, it's an incredibly efficient use of existing contracts and private capital. Decades of taxpayer investment in research gets turned into immediate, top-of-the-line compute power.
And all of that focus on efficiency and speed,
Mm-hmm.
it has to have a consequence.
Yeah.
Which I guess brings us to the deregulation mandate.
It does. It's the necessary other side of the coin.
Yeah.
The executive order signals a pretty fundamental shift in U.S. policy.
Away from oversight and ethical safeguards and toward just speed.
Prioritizing speed. And this has definitely raised some eyebrows internationally.
Yeah.
But the EO frames it purely as a matter of national competitiveness. The argument is that burdensome red tape is slowing America down while our global competitors are sprinting ahead.
What kind of a red tape are we talking about specifically? What's getting cut?
The mandate is pretty broad, but it effectively halts federal efforts to develop a lot of the AI safety and reliability best practices that, were a big focus before.
Like what? Red teaming?
Mandatory red teaming for high-risk models, yeah. Stringent data governance rules. The directive is to review and potentially remove any policy that could be seen as an impediment to innovation.
The EO also has some very pointed language about ensuring AI technologies remain free from, I think the term was ideological bias.
It does. It specifically criticized the influence of engineered social agendas in previous government-funded research.
And just to be clear here for everyone listening, we need to explain what that means from their perspective without taking a side.
Right. So from the viewpoint of the mission's architects, that phrase, engineered social agendas, it refers to policies that they believe force federal research to focus too heavily on non-performance metrics.
Like fairness tests or social impact assessment.
Exactly. Before an AI system can even be deployed. The EO is essentially saying that for Genesis, the #1 priority is scientific output, raw performance, speed. And the belief is that prioritizing those other social considerations, at least in the initial development phase, fundamentally slows down the pace of discovery.
This definitely sets the U.S. on a different path from many of our allies. I mean, you look at the European Union.
Totally different. They're building the EU AI Act, which has strict inspections and safety certifications baked right into the system from the start.
The comparison in the sources is that the U.S. is choosing to build a race car without seatbelts.
It's a stark comparison, but it captures the philosophy. The bet is that speed wins the global tech race, especially against state-backed competitors like China, who are, well, they're not slowing down for compliance checks. It's a very high-stakes bet on speed.
Okay, so you have this incredibly powerful system, stripped of regulatory friction, all aimed at going as fast as possible. But it all runs into one huge fundamental constraint.
Energy.
Energy.
And that's precisely why the Department of Energy is in charge. It's not just because they have the labs. The government recognizes that all this massive AI capability is fundamentally constrained by what they call thermodynamic realism.
Thermodynamic realism. I like that.
It's a great term. Put simply, You cannot run the AI systems needed to double scientific output with our current power grid. It's not possible.
And the numbers on this are staggering. Data center electricity demand is projected to hit 9% of total U.S. electricity use by 2030.
And that's before Genesis really kicks into high gear. If this mission succeeds in accelerating compute demand, that 9% number goes way up, way faster.
So the DOE sees this as the ultimate bottleneck.
It is the bottleneck. And this is where the whole thing becomes a self-accelerating cycle, or at least that's the hope. They plan to use all this new AI capability to accelerate breakthroughs in energy technology itself, specifically fusion energy.
So the AI builds a better power source.
Which in turn provides the power needed for bigger, more powerful AI.
That's the loop.
That's the loop. The most immediate application is managing plasma stability inside fusion reactors, inside tokamaks.
Right, that's always been the hardest part of fusion, keeping the plasma stable.
It's an incredibly complex control problem. The plasma is superheated, it's moving unbelievably fast. Human scientists just struggle to optimize the control systems in real time. But for an AI...
It's a perfect problem for an AI. It can simulate and correct things instantaneously.
Exactly. So better AI leads directly to more stable fusion, which means better energy solutions, and that allows for the massive data centers and training runs needed for the next AI breakthrough. It's a self-accelerating cycle.
That is the high-stakes bet at the heart of all this.
It is. If that AI-driven fusion breakthrough happens, and happens quickly, the energy problem is solved. The whole Genesis mission succeeds. And America basically secures its dominance in both AI and energy for a generation.
But the risk is so clear. They are literally trying to out-innovate the laws of thermodynamics. If the fusion breakthroughs don't come fast enough,
then the whole mission it hits a physics wall. All the compute in the world doesn't matter if you can't plug it in. You've built the world's fastest race car, but if you can't fuel it, it just sits there.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, the Genesis mission is a declaration that the future of American science is going to be defined by speed, scale, and lifting, and a deep reliance on private sector leadership to get the most out of what taxpayers have already invested in.
It's a profoundly fiscally conservative strategy, but it's also incredibly aggressive. It's a really unique approach to what they see as an existential technology challenge.
And here's maybe a final provocative thought for you to chew on. The administration was very clever. They built the bureaucratic architecture and got that massive private investment locked in first.
Right. Before asking for new public money.
Exactly. So now that the whole infrastructure is set up, and we all know there's this intense bipartisan fear of falling behind in the global tech race, that very efficient private sector-led model might just be what compels Congress to finally open the checkbook for new funding down the line. They basically use private money to prove the system works, which makes giving them more public money a much easier political sell.